All right, Mishpaka, we are back. We are back. Yeah, we rolled out just to take a small break real fast, get some libation. I got a nice big glass of water here in front of me. But before we move along, we got to do the fair use because I just might reach out and use something of someone's, and Lord knows we don't want to strike against this. Federal law allows citizens to reproduce, distribute, or exhibit portions of copyrighted motion pictures, videotapes, or video discs under certain circumstances without the authorization of the copyright holder. This is called fair use and is allowed for purposes of criticism, news reporting, teaching, and parody, which doesn't infringe of the copyright under Section 17 U.S.C. 107. Now, we're not doing it to make fun of anyone. It's for news reporting and it is for teaching. And for that, my friends, that's the reason why I had up the accountability sticker. We got to stay accountable, and that's why, I don't go around snatching things from people and trying to use it for my own benefit. I'm not making any money off of anything, so it's not like I want to be a part of that in any sort of way. So really, really, really trying to keep our nose clean over here as much as we possibly can and stay out of YouTube jail as much as we possibly can, because YouTube sure loves to lock us up, Mishpaka. And the last thing I want to do is get locked up by YouTube. So we're going to just keep moving right along here and pick up where we left off. If you are still hanging with me in part 3 after all this time, thank you. I can see the analytics. I can see who's looking and who's passing it on and who's sharing and all that. So for those of you, and there's a few of you that I know. So I'm going to call you out, my friend in Oklahoma. I'm going to call you out. Thank you so much, Katrina. I do appreciate the support. As a matter of fact, let me go over here because I saw it kicking up on the Facebook side of things. The Facebook people are checking in and looking. So just let me go ahead and say like this, because I've done this before and I want to do this now. Let's go ahead because it's already done. Okay, so let me get out of there. I want to go back into here. Let me look. It's not going to show it to me. It's not going to show it to me. Wow. That's interesting. I wanted to say to Ty Tawan, Washington, thank you, and for checking us out and listening to us and everything. Thank you, Katrina. Thank you, Yvette Williams. Hernando Zamora is always on the scene. Thank you, Ak. I'm trying to it's not giving me my I'm trying to pull the notifications because I want to. Here we go. Now I got it. Okay. So Tai Tawan, Yvette Williams, thank you. Hernando Moore, thank you. My brother Carl Brandon is out there. Anita Harrington, thank you. David Dunca reacted to a link I put up. Okay. Omar Rivera, thank you so much. Do appreciate you. Tevin Brown and Tony Brown, thank you, brothers, so much. I appreciate you. My little brother Jamel, thank you so much. I appreciate you. Tay McKinley, Sari Banks, Sari, I believe that's how you say it. Please forgive me. I don't want to be crucifying your name. Ben Yehuda Yakim, thank you so much. Appreciate you. Devin Yashan, appreciate you. Minor Genesis, Corey Kiesick, Courtney Green, thank you so much. Roldan Vadil, thank you so much. Hope I didn't crucify your name too much. Crystal Frazier, Simcom Mizrachi, thank you so much. And there's some other people involved in that one. I can see because I can see the analytics and I can see who's checking in. Benita Douglas Gillespie, thank you. The Neil Fox family reunion shared us. Wow. Okay, well, thank you for sharing that. The Neil Fox Family Reunion Incorporated. I appreciate that. I do. I don't come into this part of the analytics often because I'm not into like counting the numbers and all of that stuff. But I do come in here when I want to say thank you to you guys because it tells me who's passed through. Marco Draconian likes us, and that's cool. Cecilia Odom, thank you so much. Samuel D. Hillard, Victor Sutton, Edwin Vega, Charlie Brigante. Haven't seen you in a while. Victor Sutton, Juanita McCoy, Anthony Jones, Charles Galt, David Kirkwood, Sylvia Arnold, Milton Evans, Jeanette Covington, Joe Rifletrod, Mosley, Rip Hot Rod, I think that was what it's supposed to be. Benjamin Israel. Wow. Yeah, I remember when we did that one. I might have to repost that one, Benjamin, just to just to make some people remember. And then my nephew over at Illuminati Records. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you. It really is a blast when I'm sitting in here and I'm doing this and I see things like that from you guys that I'm looking at. I mean, I can see the notifications when they come through. So let me see if I can. Let's see. I'm not trying to expose anybody, so I'm trying to see if. But anyway, when they do come through, I'm looking. This is just one of the pages. I can see everybody is what I'm saying. So I just want to say thank you, to all of you. There's a ton of people over there on the Facebook side of things that never make it over here, but because I post what I'm doing over here over on Facebook, a lot of those people still check in, and I get more action on the Facebook side from the Facebook people than I do for the YouTube people. I was trying to figure out a way to broadcast to both of them at the same time from one spot, and I think I have that solution. My only problem is my internet can't take sending, and I'm on cable too, but it has an issue when I'm sending it out. It buffers like either on the Facebook side or YouTube will stop. But there's a new software that I'm looking at that's supposed to alleviate all of that and let me go ahead and send it, unrestricted to any and as many as I want to, because we're working underneath their bandwidth on their stream and not on my stream. I send it to them and then they spin it out to the different people type of thing. And so it's not me pushing it out and struggling. So we'll be doing that shortly as well. But I wanted to say thank you to all of those people, you guys on the Facebook side and the YouTube side, that you find this interesting enough to put up with me and my rambling, and I taught from a pulpit and in circles and in other situations for so long that I just don't like doing that anymore. I really, 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 really like, like if you and I were just sitting together having a conversation with our book open. I prefer that, because then we can run back and forth and we can just chop these scriptures up and use the tools that are at our fingertips, because I'll have tablets, laptops, computers, and everything while we're with the books surrounding us with all this technology here. I have it all there because I'm going to look something up while we're you just said what? And I'm going to Google, and I'm going to find it on the internet if it's out there, and it doesn't matter what country it's in or who has it. I'll find it. If it's in an archive in a library somewhere, I'll find it, because that's what I do. And if I don't, I got four phone numbers I can call. I can call people, I need help with something, or I'll hit them on Messenger. I need help with something, and they'll be like, okay, what? Especially I got a nephew in Idaho who's mad with this. He can find stuff that you wouldn't even think. So anyway, it's all good. It's all good. We're going to move along and get moving with this, right? So we don't have to be all night. We don't have to be all night. So we were talking about that Yeshua Mashiach came only for the Hebrews and no one else. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believe in him should not perish but have eternal or everlasting life. So he said that whosoever should believe in him. So they say that the whole world is the whosoever. They is the whoever that is that has taught this to the world out of the scriptures that do not say that at all. Okay, so no, so understand. We have Hebrew scriptures that do not say that God came for everybody in the world, right? Now, he says all souls are mine, right? But he also says that the other nations to him are as spittle, right? That's in Jeremiah or Isaiah 40, I believe it is. I have to go look for it. But they mean nothing to him. They're as like a drop in a bucket. They're as like spittle. Like you're running and you're sweating, or if you say you're rapping really fast and you're talking really fast and spit's just coming out your mouth, they're nothing to him. It's just spittle. They're the other nations. He cares nothing. He loves only Israel, and it's in his word. And he never said he came for anybody else other than the Hebrews. We just looked at who he sent the 12 disciples to. He told them not to go to no one but the lost sheep scattered of the house of Israel, is what he said. He came. So just because you know who you are, doesn't mean that or let's say it this way. If you're ministering to somebody and you're sharing with your family, and you're trying to share with them of who we are as a people, and that we're the Hebrews, the real people of the book, and we're trying to bring them out of Christianity. See, your family member, they might know who they are, but they might not be ready to accept it and walk in it and say that's who they are. They need a divine intervention. And for some of them, they won't, that truth won't be known until they get that. And some of us were like that when we woke up, or that's how we woke up. Excuse me, or that's how we woke up. We had some sort of a divine intervention, and I kept seeing things, and I was, paying attention. Things were happening, and I kept spotting things, and I'm like, what about that? What's that all about? And I kept noticing these things, and so my mind is already open. I'm already ready to receive this, but it hasn't come down yet. And the Father's just inching that information down to me, because he knew I was going to pop my cork when it came to the Jesus thing, but he was so patient with me, and he just slowly lowered the boom, so that it didn't hit me like a ton of bricks. It felt like it, but it really wasn't. It was mostly me being a sniveling brat. Now that I look back on it, I was just, my perception was crushed, even though I knew that it could be crushed and I was ready for it to be. I just couldn't believe that it was. That I had said that so long ago, and then it came true. That I said what I said so long ago. God, that was what? Let me think. I'm gonna tell you when I said that. That was 1980, 1981, somewhere in there. 1980, 1981. When I said that. I said, if I ever found out that there was no Jesus, I would not stop living this way. That was like 1980 or 81. And just 5 years ago, on that front porch out there, I lost my cookies when I found out there was no Jesus. Okay? So, you do the math from 81 until now. So 5 years ago was 2015, or 2014. Okay, so in 2014, just 5 years ago, I lost my mind on that front porch out there when I found out there was no Jesus. Okay. Yeah. 4 or 5 years ago, somewhere in there. Yeah. Lost my mind. So from 1981 to 2014, that's how long I went before I lost my mind. And I sit here before you now. I was ready for the truth, because I was running around, like I said, with a little country preacher, and he, it was crazy. He was looking for the Hebrews, and so was I. I just didn't know I was a Hebrew. That's what's the funny part about it. Excuse me, family. I needed that. So anyway, big cold glass of water. as I was seeing these things, I would ask these questions. And then I would get these answers. And they were so astounding and so amazing, I couldn't believe them. I was like, no, it's like, this too real. No. It was, he would give me a scripture and it would just blow my wig back. Not like I have. Right? But anyway, I was like, wow. I mean, just completely blown away. And I said, show me on these pages. And it wasn't until I got there that he knew that I was ready. And he started showing me on the pages. But not only on the pages of the scriptures, but he started showing me on pages in history. And that's what blew my wig back, because it wasn't just what I was seeing in the scriptures. History actually has written about us and what has happened to us, and it's been hidden from us. And the books are there, but they're extremely expensive books. And one of the books that I saw that talks about us as a people and who we are, as well as our color, $240-something thousand. They don't want that knowledge out there. If you've been hanging with me this long for part 3, from part 1 to part 2, thank you. We're about to go in on that one. Okay? I said, show me on these pages, and he started showing me pages. I have some of the other books from that Brother Benea were doing, and as well as the ones that I found, and they all say the same thing, because they're from around the same period. Or Brother Benea found the books that my books referenced. So my books spoke about those books, but he had the actual books from the 14th century, and then he said where we could get them, and then I went and I got some copies also. But the books that got me on this path, even how I found Benea, those guys were referencing those books. And then as I was doing my searches out on the internet, I stumbled across a video that Benea did, because his book, that book was used as like the foundation of a video clip that he did. And so in the description, the book was named, and so when you search for that name, everything associated with it came up, and Benea's video came up. So I watched Benea's video. That's how I found out about Brother Benea and his videos. And I have them linked. They're on our site also. And I've even put a couple of them out there, but this all about, us. All about us. So when you ask the question, show me on these pages, you got to be ready for what you're going to be shown. And I wasn't ready for what I was shown. I wasn't ready, but I was open, and I guess that's another way of saying, being ready. I was open. I was ready to be shown something different, because I knew that I wasn't getting the whole story. Christianity wasn't telling me everything. There was something missing. There was something more to what I was being taught, and I wasn't getting it. And when I asked people questions, it was more like they were giving me the runaround than giving me real answers. And so I left, like high-level preachers. I used to be with Kenneth Copeland. I bounced out of Kenneth Copeland's joint. I ended up with Fred Price at Crenshaw Christian Center before it became Ever Increasing Faith, the big Superdome and all of that. I was with them when they were in the little church, when it was real, when Fred was walking when the Father was walking with him. I'll put it that way. When the money came and the sponsorships and the big church and all of that, he became the pastor I could no longer talk to. Used to be able to shake his hand. Used to be able to, how the pastors used to be able to, shake everybody's hand when you're leaving the church or front door or whatever. Or you could go have a meeting with the pastor or whatever. He was touchable. But when he became a mega pastor, he became untouchable. He had security, and people, and his people had people. He had muscle. His muscles had muscle. So it was. So I left Fred Price, and I ended up with Pastor Murray, and that low country preacher showed me everything. Now, he wasn't right about everything, but he sure laid the foundation and pointed the way. And I'm so glad he did, because now I'm here. And now that I'm here, I look to my brothers to give me the culture that we lack and that we desire. And I appreciate the fact that the Father led me to Jediah, as someone who grew up in it, because I trust his word. I listen to what he says. He grew up in it, right? So I can trust him, especially a man who's humble enough to admit that I grew up this way, but I realized that was wrong, and I'm now this way. So he was non-Messianic. He didn't believe in Yeshua Messiah. The non-Messianics, they didn't believe, but the Messianics believe in Messiah. And so this is what Jediah teaches now. He teaches the crucified Messiah, risen, and soon to return to redeem his people, in power and glory Messiah. He teaches in Hebrew. And those are the kinds of teachers that I gravitate toward. Okay, the ones who can feed my head, because I need a lot of feeding. I need to open it up and let them just pour it in there, right? The people who know me, who are around me, will see me have 4 or 5 different. I'll be sitting here playing drums. True story. Playing in a country and western band. I'm singing another half pint in a 10-gallon hat, but I'm listening to Parliament Funkadelic do that stuff on headphones, and I'm sitting here playing this and singing with these country band, but in my headphones, they're like, how are you doing that? And I'm like, it's easy. So the people who know me know that I'll have a couple of different monitors going with a few different movies going on. I've got headphones on, I got music going, and I'm sitting here playing drums. I need all that input. I need that input. So, without that, things get very boring. So I have 2 computers going right now. I got a phone and a tablet. I got it all, and my books is all right here around me, and everything is going, for me to sit here and talk and work. So I'm looking at stuff. I'm doing different things, and I'm just keeping things going, and I'm watching, and I'm paying attention, because I'm solo in the cockpit right now. I'm flying solo in the cockpit. All right, so once I said show me on these pages, and he showed me on these pages, I started to share this truth with my friends and my family. I have friends who are pastors, who are over congregations, and you got to be careful how you approach pastors. I've been a minister in the Christianity for a long time, so you got to be careful how you approach them, because you don't want to offend them. That's very, very tender ground right there. I mean, you don't want to shake a person's faith, because you don't want to break someone. I mean, if the reality is so real, when you give it to them, you can actually break someone. You have to be very careful and pray, that they can receive this in the right spirit, because the adversary is there. Once you take away that covering that they've been covered with, and they've been so comfortable carrying that fake blanket, once you pull that away and let them see that there's nothing in there, that it's empty and it's always been empty, right? But you know someone who can fill that up. It's just been covered. You thought it was full. It's just been covered. But now you've opened it up and showed them how empty Christianity is. It cannot fill you up. Christianity cannot fill up a melanated person. A Hebrew cannot be filled by Christianity. It's a false religion to us, right? You have to come out of her. You got to get out of churchianity in order to see what's really real. And so you got to be careful when you're talking to people, because you can break them, and we're responsible for the way that we deliver this message, because it has to be delivered in love, and the Father has to be the one to till that soil, make it fertile for the seed to be planted. Okay. So when you talk to family and friends who won't listen, just be patient and cautious. Don't pound them with it. Um, there are Hebrews. The church is full of Hebrews, right? And they're comfortable in their Christianity. Um, they'll tell you that we're a cult all day long. They'll tell you, and they're not realizing that the religion that they're defending so much that was given to their forefathers as slaves, they got it from the oppressors who stole it and plagiarized it from us in the first place, right? I mean, they will fight you tooth and nail about that. That the religion that they're defending so much was given to their forefathers who were slaves, who got it from their oppressors, and the oppressors who stole it and plagiarized it from us in the first place, or our forefathers before they were slaves. They stole their scriptures, rewrote them, changed the names, places, and faces, made it look like it was theirs, and by the time they went back and turned them into slaves, they handed them the book and said, "Here's your God." It was already your story, but now that's been so reworked, you don't even realize it or recognize it anymore when you see it or read it. Or they give you a book and tell you who it is, but you're not allowed to learn to read, so you're just carrying the book around. So you build your faith on the book that you can't even read yet. Crazy. So you have to look at this in a Hebraic fashion. You got to live this in a Hebraic fashion. You know, that's why I try to bloom where I'm planted. Talk to my family, which is my house, and my friends, and tell people, and then some I tell only once. If I don't have the unction to keep loving on you and mentioning it to you, then my job was just to plant the seed and walk away. Sometimes we're agrarian people, right? We're farmers and sheep herders and stuff like that, right? Shepherd kings is what we were called, right? We were called shepherd kings. Before we even established cities in the whole nine, we were nomads in the wilderness, right? And there's still brothers out there who were okay. So I'm not going to go into that, but anyway, you have to go study with my brother Ashira to get that side of it. I'm not going to do that with you guys right now, but about Abar Bani Israel, about that. So if you want to know about that deeper, you can study that. But we're talking about this right now. All right. So we're going to move past that. I want to get over into here. So when Yeshua came out of Jerusalem, where was he? No, he was in Nazarene. He was in Nazareth. So he was in Nazareth, and he came out of Nazareth. And what happened here? Let's see what happened. Oh, here we go. I think I bumped the camera or something. Let me see. Okay. And he went out from this, and he came into his own country, and his disciples followed him. Oh, okay, we read that. So then he sends them out 2 by 2, right? He sends them out 2 by 2. As a matter of fact, let me do it like this. Let's go here. Okay, he sends them out 2 by 2. Let's get a better look at it. Let's go here. So he sends them out 2 by 2, right? And then I'm in the wrong. I'm still in the. I thought I was in the wrong. Okay, so hold on. Let me go to Matthew. No. Where am I? Oh, there it is. It's in the wrong place. All right, so it's here. Thought it was there. Here we go. Okay, so here we go, right here. All right. So let me check my screen, make sure you're with me. And you are. Okay, so then Jesus went thence and departed into the coast of Tyre and Sidon. Okay? And so this is 15. Let's go 15. Okay. Now we're going to go into the, oops, I went too far. We're going to go into the Hebrew Israelite scriptures with this one also. Okay? because we want to see the work that Jediah has done. And I want you to see that. I really do. So we're going to pull this over. Here we go. And there we go. All right, so then he goes into the coast of Tyre and Sidon, right? And behold, a woman of Canaan came out of the same coast and cried unto him, saying, Have mercy on me, O Lord, thou son of David. My daughter is grievously vexed with a devil. Okay, that's what she said, right? Now, over here we see that then Yehoshua went thence and departed into the coasts of Sor and Sidon, right? And behold, a woman of Canaan came out of the same coast and cried unto him, saying, Have mercy on me, O Adonai, thou son of David. My daughter is grievously vexed with the devil. So I want you to understand, when you see these Hebrew Israelite scriptures, is this making sense to you now? How he is putting the Hebrew names, faces, and places back? Okay, I haven't even shown you any of the pictures that's in this book yet. I mean, there's some phenomenal and outstanding pictures, right? When you read the Esau's Bibles, right, you see pictures of all kinds of drawings of white folks and their kids and cherubim and all sorts of angelic figures, and my grandmother had a Bible. They have that statue of David over in Rome. Okay, they got that statue of David. It's called David. It's supposed to be King David, but he's naked with his ding-a-ling hanging out and everything. Okay, that picture of David was in a Bible. My grandmother had it. Okay, we used to snicker and laugh at it because his ding-a-ling is hanging out. We were kids. But they had that Roman, Greek, nudity, abominable crap in the middle of the scriptures. A naked man, should not be in the scriptures at all, period. That's not what the Father was doing. Especially not the way they was doing it. What they was doing was a sodomite nakedness. The Father had him naked in the garden. There was no sodomy going on. There was none of that. It was a whole different vibe. It wasn't even about sex. But that's not what happens, with the Roman and the Greeks. So here, this woman, she was of Canaan, all right, and we see, right, that in the Esau it says that she's Canaanite. She's a Canaanite, right, and she came out of the coast, right. She was a woman of Canaan. See it right there? She was a woman of Canaan. So how is this significant to us? What does that mean? Huh? How is that significant? How is that significant? Okay, all right. I think this is what I did. I was going to show you that, but this is how it's significant. Remember? This is how it is significant. Did you see it yet? That Ham, this woman, she was not a Hebrew. She was a Hamite crying unto him, right? She's a Hamite. It says right there, Ham is the progenitor of the dark races. So I want you to get this. It's dark people sitting around having a conversation. It's a dark Yeshua Messiah, a dark Yeshua Mashiach, right? Some dark disciples, okay? And a dark woman from Canaan. She's a Canaanite. She's a daughter of Ham. See it right there? She's a Hamite. Because Ham is the progenitor of the Canaanites, but not the Negroes. So you got a Canaanite sitting there with some Negroes, right? Matter of fact, you got a couple of Canaanites sitting there. I don't want to get in that yet, but there's a couple of Canaanites sitting there. But the woman herself is a Canaanite, okay? She's a Canaanite sitting there begging Yeshua to have some mercy on her, okay? So let's look at this. Okay? So the woman of Canaan came out of the same coast and cried unto him, saying, Have mercy on me, O Lord, thou son of David. My daughter is grievously vexed with the devil. But he answered her not a word. And his disciples came and besought him, saying, send her away, man. She's bothering us. She's crying after us and stuff, man. Send her, tell her to go home. Get her away from us. Okay? Now, look at this. Now, here's the thing. Here's the thing. He answered her not a word, and his disciples came and besought him, saying, send her away, for she crieth after us. But he answered not a word, and his disciples besought him. Right? He didn't say a thing to her. Wait a minute. God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son for him just to look at her like she crazy and not say nothing. For him just to look at her and not say a word. For him not even to look at her and just like turn his head and just look in another direction. You know, for him just to say, you know, what you talking about? You know, like I don't even hear you talking to me because I'm not listening, right? So his whole thing, check it out, right? The disciples said, send her away, for she crieth after us. But he answered and said, wait, God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. God so loved the world, right? But he said, I am not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. I'm saying that slow for some of you who just don't get it fast. God did not so love the world that he gave his son for it. The son himself says, I was not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. When the Father sent me to this planet, I am not sent. He said, I'm here to do the will of my Father, not my will. So that means that the will of the Father is for him to go to the lost sheep of the house of Israel, not the world. So he didn't come here for everybody. He came for Israel. He came for Israel. Then came she and worshipped him, saying, Adonai, help me. Help me. I can hear her saying that. I can hear her saying that. I can hear her saying that more than I can hear her saying, then she came and worshipped him, saying, Lord, help me. See, I know what Adonai means. And when you say help me after Adonai, I can hear her saying, Adonai, help me. That's like, please help me. But he answered and said, okay, he answered and said, it is not meet to take the children's bread and to cast it to dogs. Wait, before we go there. He said, it is not meet to take the children's bread and cast it to dogs. Okay, so I want you to look at it. I want you to pay attention to it. Right? The way that it's written is everything. He said, it's not meet to take the children's bread and cast it to dogs. They say over here, it is not meet to take the children's bread and cast it. What? Cast it what? Bread to dogs. There's two different ways to look at that. One is talking about bread, and the other one is talking about an action. If I take the children's bread and just cast it to dogs, I'm just taking the bread, just casting just cast it to the dogs. I'm just casting the bread, right? So, in one case, you have to look at what's being cast, and in the other case, you're really not looking at what's being cast. You're just looking at the fact that it's being cast to dogs. Because the scripture says that man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of God. That's what the scriptures say in the English side of it. I have to look it up in the Hebrew Israelite scriptures and see how Jediah broke it down there. But that's pretty much it. Is that when we say the Tefillah Yahuwah or the Lord's Prayer, we say, give us this day our daily bread. We give us today what we need out of this word. right? So the bread that's going to sustain my body is not just physical bread. It's not just the bread that I can go over there and make a sandwich with, right? But the bread that's going to sustain my body is the actual word of the Most High God. It's the law, statutes, and commandments that I'm going to live by. That's the bread that's going to sustain me. So when he's talking to her, he's saying, it's not right for me to take this which I have for the scattered sheep of the house of Israel. This is for them. It's not right for me to take it and give it to those who are not deserving of it. It's not for them. Your time has not come. It's not for me to feed the dogs. And she said, true, Adonai. Yet the dogs eat the crumbs which fall from the master's table. He said, it's not right to take the children's bread and cast it to the dogs. And she said, yes, yet the dogs eat the crumbs that fall from their master's table. And the cold part about it is that Yehoshua, when he looked at her, he said, woman, great is your faith. Be it unto thee even as thou wilt. In other words, lady, you got big faith. Whatever it is you want, you can have it. Whatever it is, you can have it. Be it unto thee even as thou wilt. Whatever you want, you can have it. You got good faith. Her daughter was made whole that same hour. See, she didn't ask anything for herself. And she was a Canaanite. He called a Canaanite a dog. A child a Ham. She was a Hamite. He called her a dog. She was brown just like him. But she wasn't of the right nation. And he knew what nation she was of. Even though she wasn't even on her own coast. She was on a whole nother coast. See? And Yehoshua departed from there and came nigh to the sea of Galilee and went up into a mountain and sat down there. And great multitudes came to him, having with them those that were lame, blind, dumb, maimed, and many others, and cast them down at Yehoshua's feet, and he healed them, insomuch as the multitude wondered when they saw the dumb speak, the maimed to behold, the lame walk, and the blind to see, and they glorified the Elohim of Israel. Then Yehoshua called his disciples unto him and said, I have compassion on the multitude, because they continue with me now 3 days, and have nothing to eat, and I will not send them away fasting, lest they faint in the way, or they faint trying to make it home. And then, another miracle is made right there. But the whole idea of this one is him and his conversation with the Canaanite woman. Okay? Him and the Canaanite woman, he's had a couple of, very substantial conversations with women that like really set some groundwork for the way that we look at things as far as who we are, because the other woman was Samaritan, and he started talking to her about what she worshiped, because she didn't even realize who was standing in front of her, and he said, you don't even know what you worship. So here it is, the creator of the universe put on a new suit called skin and is standing in front of you, right? Because the creator of the universe don't wear skin, but to walk among you, he's got to look like you, right? So he put on some skin. He's walking among you. He's got some flesh. He's got some bones. He's living, and he's a person. He came in here the same way we all came in here, so he can participate. See, so this is another reason why we are hated so much by the fallen angels and the demonics, is because the Father, it's not so much that he made mankind and he loves mankind, but when he became man and walked among us, everybody who saw that understood and knew who we were and what was about to happen, because he became man and walked among us. Man is the next step in everything with the Father. And his Son is flesh and creative power. In the beginning, he's the power that created everything. So it's like, if my Father tells me to do something, I do it. So in the beginning, when God created the heaven and the earth, understand this, that Yeshua was standing right there as part of the council. He was one of the Elohim who was in that group that did all of this. He was the one, as they decided that this was going to happen, it was his charge, his hands that reached out and made earth. It was his voice that spoke it into existence. It was earth, light, moon, stars, or he formed it and fashioned it. However he wanted to do it, still he did it. It was under his power that it was done. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God, and the Word was with God. And it goes on to say that there was not anything that was made that wasn't made. There's not anything that's made that wasn't made by him. He's the one that did it all. That means he was part of the group of Elohim, right? So, and we're going to go down that road here shortly. We're going to go down that road shortly. All right. So, let's move over here real quick. Let me get this so we can get there. Let's get this so we can get there. Okay, I'm gonna keep that. This is all right. And the other was, what was over here? All right. So this is, and I believe that we were, no, here. Ooh. Hold on, family. Yeah, I'm in the same, I just have to move the page over. I'm in the same place. Just had to move the page over just a little bit. Okay, so here's the next thing we're looking at. This is because this is something else that popped up as we were moving forward, and we're going to wrap this in just a little bit. So I want to take this to you. Is that the? Yeah. Okay. So as I was studying through this, I kept running up on this. I kept running across. This scripture right here kept coming up. I kept stumbling across it. I wasn't trying to get here. I was looking for something else, but I kept landing on this. So I said, okay, so let me land here and see what this is. So in MattitYahu 15, which is Matthew 15, okay. And, actually, let's do this first. Let's go over here. Then came Jesus, then came to Jesus, scribes and Pharisees, which were of Jerusalem, saying, why do thy disciples transgress the traditions of the elders? For they wash not their hands when they eat bread. Okay. So, here's one of the things. Okay, so then came to Jesus scribes and Pharisees, which were of Jerusalem. Okay, so scribes and Pharisees, which were of Jerusalem. Then came to Yehoshua scribes and Perushim, which were of Jerusalem, saying, why do thy disciples transgress? So as I was reading through this, before I even got to Esort, I was trying to figure out what the Perushim was. So I said, well, let me go see if I can find out what that is. And so I did, and it was right here. Okay. So Perushim. See, this is how I run it down. When I take my breaks away from what we're doing, I'm reading, I'm still studying, I'm looking at other things. I'm like the Perushim. What is Perushim? Because I don't read Hebrew and I don't know Hebrew. So I see the word right there, the Perushim, right here, the Perushim, right? Were disciples of the Vilna Gaon. Elijah ben Solomon Zalman, who left Lithuania at the beginning of the 19th century to settle in the land of Israel, was then a part of the Ottoman Syria under Ottoman rule. They were from the section of the community known as the Mitnagdim, opponents of the Hasidic movement in Lithuania. So, what of this is Hebrew? These Pharisees are the forerunners of the rabbinical Pharisees of Judaism. These guys are from Lithuania. They're not even Hebrew. You see this? This is this is why you do your research. This is why you look stuff up, because this is how they tell the world that they are the Jews. That's why the Revelations 3:9 says, "I know those who say they are Jews and they're not, but do lie of the synagogue of Satan." Look at this. Look at this. So as you were looking at that, I had to let my dogs in the house. They were outside making a racket, and I could hear them even though I'm in the house on headphones. So we have to get them. You probably heard them barking out there. So this is the Hasidic movement in Lithuania. Why are they in Israel? The name Perushim comes from the verb parash, meaning to separate. The group sought to separate themselves from what they saw was the impurities of the society around them in Europe, and the name literally means separated individuals. Coincidentally, this was the same name by which the Pharisees of antiquity were known. However, the latter-day Perushim did not make any claim to be successors of the Pharisees in the generations prior to their departure for Israel. The term Perushim, and it shows how it's spelled, referred to the Sifri Kodesh. It was later applied to the Vilna group, alluding to their practice of studying biblical commentaries, not just the Talmud and later commentaries. See, they follow the Talmud. They don't even read the Torah, right? That's the Perushim, okay? All right? Now, here's the Pharisees. There it is in Greek, right here. Let's see. Let me help you with this. How about that? Are we all the way over? We are. I think we got the whole thing in the page. Let me see. I might shrink it once. Is that too hard to read? No. Okay. So there it is in Greek. It's Perishia, in Hebrew Perushim, Pharisees. It's a party representing their religious views and practices and hopes of the kernel of the Jewish people in the time of the Second Temple, and in opposition to the priestly Sadducees. They were accordingly scrupulous observers of the law as interpreted by the Sopharim or scribes in accordance with tradition. No true estimate of the character of the Pharisees can be obtained from the New Testament writings, which takes a polemical polemical attitude toward them. See New Testament. Nor from Josephus, who, writing for Roman readers and in view of the Messianic expectations of the Pharisees, represents the latter as a philosophical sect. Parisha, the singular of Perishia, denotes one who separates himself and keeps away from persons or things impure in order to attain the degree of holiness and righteousness required in those who would commune with God. Okay? And all of this is being done by people who are not Hebrews. Okay? These are people who have converted in, and this is, they're trying to live in place of us and have been living in place of us. Okay. So I wanted to show you that because, as I'm reading scripture, I want to know what I'm reading. And so I go look. I pull a word up. Okay. So then we'll go over here. All right. Because this is how to get started. We can get it started like this, right? So we go over here, and then you say, Pharisees, Greek. Well, that's what it said. Greek 5330, right? And now let's look. Look, there's the Greek. You're going to look. Okay? And here's the Greek word here. Okay? Now, does this look the same? That's the Greek word there. Does that look the same as... Hold on. Because I don't read Greek. And I don't write it or spell it either. But does that look the same? Either one of those Greek words? Does that look the same to you? I can't call it, man. I'm like, I don't read Greek. All right. So where did I put it? It's right here. Okay. So Greek 5330 says Pharishos, Phariseos, a Hebrew origin that is exclusively religious, a Pharisee, that is Jewish sectary, a Pharisee. Okay, but that Greek word is the word I'm looking at. See, it doesn't quite look the same to me. I don't see that little tick, the little hick at the end. It's like almost like a little S or something. Back here at the end of this thing, like a little S. I don't see that. What I see over here in this Greek. This little, what is this little thing right here? This little S looking thing right here. I see like there's like a A-I-O, which it looks like a A-I-O-I. Looks like A-I-O-I over here. Instead of it looks like A-I-O-I instead of A-I-O. And S, what the other one is. So, you have to study these things out and look at them and make sure that, what you're seeing. Ask the questions. Don't be afraid to ask the questions, because that's how you're going to get the answers. I don't trust, and I'm honestly now, I'm going to tell you, because I do not trust the King James 1611 on its own without a Strong's Concordance or anything else. I don't have an original King James 1611. I don't have one, and I don't know anyone who has an original King James 1611. Written in the King's Good English. The King James 1611 that I thought I had it. Hold on. Okay, I don't have it on this one, but I have. I'm going to show you my King James 1611 because I have it over here. Okay, so let's look. I'll show you my King James 1611 because the King James 1611 looks like this, and it reads like this. And if you pay close attention, as I told you, the letter J didn't come on the scene until 1630. So what does that say right there? What does that say? Can you see that? What does that say? This is Matthew 15:1. Okay, pull out your Matthew 15:1 and see what it says. But you're going to have a J on yours because you don't have a 1611. And just look at how things read. This is the King's Good English. Look at how Jerusalem is spelled. Is there a J on Jerusalem? Look at the word transgress. See how they spread transgress? Now look. the disciples didn't wash their hands. Second verse. See how they spell hands? And you can read verse 3. But he, two E's in he, answered and said unto them. Look, that's a V. V-N-T-O. That's not a U. Why do you also transgress the commandments? You see, why do? Why do? Why do? Your brother's talking like that today. What's up, do? What's up, do? You transgress the commandment. And God commanded, C-O-M-M-A-U-N-D-E-D. And God commanded, saying, honor thy father and mother, and he that curses father or mother, let him die the death. But ye, see, Y-E-E, say, ye say. Ye say. You see, now look. 15:8. This people draw nigh unto me. No, you, it's a V. Me, M-E-E, with their mouth, and honoreth me with their lips. See, this is the King's Good English. This is 1611. You don't have this. You don't have this. You don't even have the Hebrew roots. Here's the Hebrew roots. The scribes and the Pharisees said unto Yeshua from Jerusalem, saying, see, 15:14, for Yahweh commanded, saying, honor your mother and your father. See, this is the Hebrew roots. You don't have this. So even though I had a Christian Bible, I always kept something else around me because I knew I just had that. I wasn't being given everything. I just knew that there were some things being held back in Christianity. And as I started asking those questions, the Father started bringing me closer and showing me and showing me and showing me. I am thankful. I am grateful for all that I have. And I try to be accountable for all of that to all of you and everyone else who I had to learn how to be accountable. First of all, you guys, I was never always accountable. You know, I was a hard head. I didn't know much, but I didn't have many people teaching me because, you know, pretty much I was a throwaway kid. I had a couple of, the Father put a couple of right men in my path at crucial times in my life to make sure that I didn't go down the wrong path. And one of them to make sure that I kept doing what I'm doing now. And had it not been for Pastor Seiler, I probably would not be doing this now. That man literally saved my life when my mother threw me to the wolves. So she hated him for it. She hated him for saving me. And I knew his love for me was genuine when I was given the unction to go back home, and I had to go find Pop. And I found him, and I walked through his front door, and he jumped up out of his recliner, and he said, Lord, I can die now. My boy is okay. And he held on to me like he had just found his lost, like I was the prodigal son who just came home. You know, that man cried on my shoulder and told me he wept over me for years. He said, I'm not going to die until I know what happened to that boy. And this is the truth, y'all. He died after that. It's the truth, y'all. He told me, and he told God, I'm not going to die until I find out what happened to that boy. So the Father brought me to him. Matter of fact, he brought me to both those men. They died around the same time. He brought me to both of them. He brought me to Pop Seiler, and he took me to Uncle Bill Creighton. Those were the two men that changed my entire life. When I was at a critical time in my life, the Father made sure I had those men to keep me on the path. Now, Pastor Seiler, Christian pastor, but that black man loved me like nobody else did. I never had a father, or I never had a father figure other than Pop Seiler. And when he came into my life, I needed him in my life. And there are young men out there, I'm talking to my ox, that need you. Be there for them. There's a young man that's about to, the next decision that he makes will be a life-changing one. I said to you guys before, I was about to go take a life. I was about to watch the life and the blood drain out of a body, and I was going to watch the life leave those eyes. I wanted that person to see me standing over them, and I was willing to do the jail time for that killing. But had I done that, my entire life, especially my spiritual life, would have been forever changed. I would not have been the person sitting here in front of you. But I was so hurt. I wasn't broken. I'm not broken. But I was so hurt by what this man I loved did to my family member that I was willing to take his life. I was about to go do what Judah and Naphtali and Zebulon and Gad, I was about to go do what they did for their sister. I was about to go do that for mine. I was about to go check them down. I was about to go check them down. And I got stopped in my path because that wasn't for me to do. That wasn't for me. See, I didn't know vengeance is mine. I didn't know that then. You know, I didn't know to keep my hands to myself and not fight these battles. I didn't know to pray for them instead. You know, and that doesn't mean pray for their punishment. It's pray for mercy. Their punishment is coming. You want to pray for mercy, that the Father will be merciful in his punishment, because they're going to get punished. Just pray for mercy. You know, and that's why I keep loving on my mom, because I want her to have his mercy. You know, I mean, whatever you get, whatever comes to you, it's going to come to you by way of your Yah. For whatever you did, whatever deal you made, however you did it, whatever it was, that's what you have to answer for. You see, because in 2nd Ezra 21, remember I did this go back and look at the video that I said, let me think if I remember the name of it. 2nd Ezra, Rock My World, or 2nd Ezra something. It was when my dad died, and I did that one because 2nd Ezra tells you what happens to the body when it leaves, what happens to the soul when it leaves the body. And then I read 2nd Ezra. The Father put me in 2nd Ezra. My dad died. My dad was a full-blown warlock. He was into the arts, the craft is what they call it. He was into that, and he had some imps around him. He had some entities that rode with him. You know, they were not us. It was them, the Decepticons, the other guys. Right? So when he went out of here, he knew who he was leaving with. Remember the movie Ghost? And the little shadows came up out of the ground and grabbed that soul and snatched it back. And he knew who was taking him. And he was ready to go. So I read, and I was afraid for him. I was so afraid because I knew that he was leaving here without Yehoshua. I knew he was leaving without making that commitment, without asking for that. I knew he was leaving, and I was broken. You know, and I tried, you know, to get home before, you know, but those entities that were around him, they knew that my sister and I were coming. And so they had to get him before we got there, and they used my dirty, evil brother to do it. And so yeah, I was crushed because I didn't get a chance to meet and greet and love on my dad before he died, and I had to see his body and not him. So I read that 2nd Esdras that talks about what happens to the body with the soul when it leaves the body. And you know, so I think about those things, You got to go meet your maker. You got to go answer, because it says right there, Esdras, before every soul is put into the body, before the Father puts you in this body, he tells you exactly what you need to do to make it through this life and back home. If you don't make it, that's on you. But it's right there in Esdras. Read 2nd Esdras. Read 2nd Esdras, the whole book. Just read the whole book. Everything is there. It fills in all the gaps. Esdras is Ezra. It's another way of saying Ezra. Ezra is in your Bible, right? But then why isn't the rest of it in there? Because the Roman Catholic Church only cut out the pieces that they wanted you to see, and that's what they left in the King James 1611. King James had it all in there. It was all in there. All of the books from the Apocrypha, everything was all in there. The Roman Catholic Church took all of those books out and only put a little bit of Ezra in there. They took out all of Esther and only put a little bit of Esther in there. They left out all the other books, the extra biblical canonical books that they should have put in there. You read Jasher, there's nothing wrong with Jasher. Sure, there's a lot of history in those books, but that's what the scriptures are. It's our history. It's about us. All those books are about us, writing about us and the exploits that we were doing, us. So no one from the outside can come along and tell you that these books don't mean they don't matter. You don't need these. You don't have any. These aren't even your books. This wasn't your life. These aren't your people. You've convinced the world, but it's not you. It's not yours. And so history has a habit of going along and correcting everything to tell the world that what we've done and what we said is wrong, and that they rewrite it and recorrect it and say, okay, now here it is corrected. It's right now. It's right. They forgot to turn it white. They left it black. We turned it white. Now it's right. Here you go. And then the world says, oh, it's fine. Now it's white. Yeah. And then they take it because it's been whitewashed. And they do that with everything. So in the last segment, I showed you what they did with the Bible and the Panari Indians. Now, if you think that the Panari Indians was just a thing, think about, like I said, these are your scriptures. These people come and they learn from your forefathers about your religious practices, and they take on your religious practices, and then they start worshiping your God, and then they turn around and write the scriptures out, but make it favor them like it's their God. And then they go around Christianizing everyone with their white Jesus. Because they read in there, they were first called Christians in Antioch. Look, that's where they called them Christians. They're Christians. It says so right here. They're Christians. Look. But that's not what it means. Why? Because you're looking at it through a different lens. You're not looking at it through a Hebraic lens. So you don't see what it really means. That's why. Okay? So, Mishpachah, that's where we're going to be tonight. Okay? And I have more studies for me to get into, but I'm not going to draw you into it with me. I wanted to show you those things. And as we started going through it yesterday, I'm glad that I did it today this way, because I got to go a lot more in depth. It took part 1, part 2, part 3, but I got a chance to go a lot more in depth. I've had a lot more commentary, but everybody knows I'm long-winded. I'm very loquacious. So it's all good, right? It's all good. I tell you what, just don't forget this. The next time they come and they march on you, you make sure you tell them that Ham is the father of all the dark races, but not the Negroes. Remember who you are. You're not a Hamite. The progenitor of the dark races did not make you. So if he made all of those other dark people and he didn't make you, then who do you come from? You can't come from no one else but Shem. Because Japheth went across to the Northern Isles. And there's only Ham and Shem over here now. Japheth went north. So if you're not from Ham and Japheth went north, you got to be Shem. That's not rocket science. It's not. So don't let them confuse you, Mishpachah. Don't let them make you crazy with this. It's very simple. It's very, very, very simple. Okay, I was going to look at something else, but actually, we'll hit it real quick. Stocks have a record high today. The gross domestic product is big. It's 3.2%. And so they're asking the question, has the recession been canceled? Well, I saw something a few months back where the global elite were saying that they were not going to crash the American dollar. This is me going off on another one of my tangents, y'all, when I'm doing my research, how deep I dig into things. I'm looking at what the Rockefellers are saying. I'm looking at what the Rockefellers are saying. I'm looking at what the Rothschilds are saying. I'm looking at what all of these people are saying, in order to find out, how they're looking at the system also, because, these people are coming along and they're saying that that they're going to crash the dollar. All right, and they're the ones that's in charge of the banking economy. They run, the fiduciary for the company, for the country. They handle everything that's happening at the Federal Reserve. They set the interest rates, whether they're high, whether they're low, and all of that. They don't work for us. The Federal Reserve is not federal; it's a private bank. So the question is, this gross domestic product. It's a big 3.2%. Has the recession been canceled? Well, they were talking about just a little while ago that they were going to spin the stock market all the way up and then dump it, is what they were saying, some months back. Actually, it was last year, year before last. Actually, let me see. No. It was when before Trump came into office, they were talking about what they were going to do. They were going to crash the market, and then he upset everything by becoming president, and they said, well, no. What we'll do is we'll just let him spin it up, because he is a billionaire. We'll let him spin it all the way up, and then when it gets so high, because it's too big to fail, remember the banks, that's when they were going to let the bottom drop out and nobody can save it. Then there's some Kim Jong-un in here saying that tensions are getting high again between him and the Americas. There's some robot love solutions. Simulated love is never love, and so there's a robot thing going on over here. Transhumanism, they've been talking about this robot love thing for a minute. I saw that like 3-4 years back, and I said this abomination is gonna decimate mankind, because you have these people who are buying these robots because I can't get a real live woman, so I go get me a robot, and that's my sex mate, my playmate, my everything, and it's a lot. And I was watching this expose, and they did the expose. It was like 2 black dudes and a white guy, and the 2 black guys were both kind of effeminate with these little robot girl, or not robots, they were life-size dolls, but they were like their sex toys, plaything toys, the dolls or what have you. So so then there's an article right there. It's Drudge Report. You can read it for yourself. I wanted to bring that up when I saw the Donald Trump on the $20 bills asking, has the recession been canceled? So listen, Mishpachah, there's a lot of us who employment, our jobs are in jeopardy. We're not sure where it stands. We don't know what's going on. We're unsure. You know what? I have people today who are jumping ship at work, and my company is has gone, and we survived a bankruptcy. Everybody's watching the news. Sears almost died. And so, but this is not the first time that the dinosaurs almost died and been resurrected. So there's that. But I don't worry about it. I'm watching people jump ship, and they're all going off to get new jobs and things, and the whole nine. And I'm hanging with the company because, you see, when the Father places you somewhere, you don't have to be afraid of what's going to happen. So I'm not afraid. If the company dies, I know I'm going to be taken care of. See, he put me in there for a reason. And if I wanted to leave, I could. But that doesn't mean that I'm still going to be in the right graces. If I step outside of his will and I move when I'm not supposed to, that could be a bad move for me, right? I could stay there and, you know, um, and just ride it out and see what it could probably be better than it was. I don't know, but I know this much, that I am not the director of my path. I am not the lamp on my path. My feet are guided by someone else, and I've always prayed, open the door I'm supposed to go through and close the ones that I'm not, because I'm too stupid to know the difference. Therefore, I'm not going anywhere yet. I'm waiting, as I always do on the Father. I could be so arrogant and go do something on myself and then find out that it was the wrong move and that I've just sank the whole ship, and I'm not willing to do that. So, that's it for me, Mishpachah. Shabbat Shalom. Thank you for hanging out. I appreciate you. Let me see. I'm trying to pay attention to what's going on out here. I don't know if, am I? Oh no, let's see. Hold on. Let me see where I'm at, because I don't even, where is, I see quite a few of my people out there doing what they do. Okay, there we go. All right. Okay, so that's exactly what I wanted to know, and I'm good with that. So thank you, Mishpachah. I do thank you. You guys who will see this later, you'll watch part 1, part 2, part 3. We thank you so much. We're looking at your analytics. I thank you for when you're stopping through and you take a peek and you stop and you say hello. My Facebook friends, there's enough of us over here in the YouTube side. Here we go. Okay, so I'm going to move along and pull out some more scriptures and do what I do, because I love reading this stuff. I love digging through it. And then I'm gonna hang out with the babies for a while and turn on something and watch some of my other brothers and some of the things that they're bringing to the front that we feel good about reading. And thank you so much. I do appreciate you. You guys go on and have a great evening. Shabbat Shalom.